In the past, Gaoyang had 8 people with both talent and virtue. People benefited from their assistance in governing, calling them 8 Kai. Gaoxin had 8 people with both talent and virtue, and people called them 8 Yuan. The descendants of these 16 people maintained their virtues from generation to generation, without damaging the reputation of their families. When Yao came to power, Yao was not able to employ them. Shun employed the descendants of the 8 Kai to be in charge of agriculture, and standardize all related matters, without any violation of the seasons. He employed the descendants of the 8 Yuan to spread education to all directions, so that all fathers fulfilled their responsibilities, mothers were loving, brothers were friendly, younger brothers were respectful, sons were filial, families were harmonious, and society was harmonious. In the past, Emperor Hong had an untalented son who abandoned benevolence and righteousness, was sinister and vicious, and liked to commit cruel and evil deeds. People called him Hun Dun. Xiaohao had an untalented son who ruined trust and integrity, hated loyalty and honesty, and liked and beautified vicious words. People called him Qiongqi. Zhuanqiu had an untalented son who could not be taught, and did not know the good and bad of words. People called him Taowu. People were worried about these 3 families. When it came to Yao's era, Yao was not able to remove them. Jinyun had an untalented son who was greedy for food and drink and sought wealth. People called him Tao Tai. People despised him, and regarded him in the same light as those 3 notorious families. Shun, who was in charge of the gates to the 4 directions, and the welcoming of guests, exiled these 4 notorious families to remote areas on the borders of the 4 directions, using them to resist even more evil people. After that, the 4 gates were open, indicating that there were no more evil people. Shun ventured into the grand mountain foothills, undeterred by severe storms. Yao recognized Shun as a worthy successor, and retired, delegating imperial duties to Shun, who toured the nation. After years of governance, Yao formally handed over power to Shun. Yao passed away 8 years later. After the 3-year mourning period, Shun ceded power to Danju, but the people still followed Shun. Officials like Yu, Gao Yao, Qi, Haoji, Boyai, Hui, Long, Chui, Yi, and Pengzu had been appointed since Yao's time, but without specific roles. Shun convened a meeting with regional lords, opened the gates to the 4 directions, and promoted Yao's virtues. He assigned roles to these officials, tasking Yu with flood control, Qi with social harmony, and Gao Yao with justice. Shun also appointed other officials for various duties, including rites and music. Every 3 years, officials were evaluated, and their ranks adjusted accordingly. Shun also dealt with the exile of the 3 Miao tribes in the northern borderlands.